Todd Hollenshead. I'm the CEO at it. Oh yeah, we're excited to finally see the reaction. People actually get a copy of the game since we've been working on it for so long now. We had a number of goals, and those are not only on the gameplay side but also on the technical side in terms of sort of what we thought the experience had the potential to be on the Xbox. And that goes, you kind of have to go all the way back to when we were first really starting up the development on the PC. Is that John Carmack looked at the technical architecture of the Xbox and basically targeted it as a full impact visual platform from very early on in the process. So we did change some stuff, but I think the critical thing is that we the stuff that we kept the same, really, which is that all of the technology that was so groundbreaking on the PC stuff is all there on the Xbox. So the bump mapping on all the surfaces and characters in the game, the lighting and shadowing all done in real time, the physics system, basically everything except for the real time surround sound mixing, and we didn't do that because there was you got the onboard chip on the Xbox. So the full story from start to finish is there on the Xbox, and but then how do we make it fit? And we went in and it was a lot more difficult than just going in and going, oh, we'll chop up the levels arbitrarily or what have you. For example, some areas on the PC might have been frustrating if you're trying to play with a controller as opposed to a keyboard and mouse. Then we were able to change some things up and still keep the full experience. Vicarious, definitely we're working off of sort of our design spec on the game, and of course as we sort of focused in on finishing up the PC stuff, we kind of had to let them go their own way as we went into crunch mode. But as soon as we were done with the PC stuff, we started looking right back at the Xbox again, and in fact went so far as to create the entire Cooperative campaign at id, and then handed that back to Vicarious to put in with the game, which is one of the great things. I mean, the co-op stuff for console players and for Xbox players, I think, is really cool with System Link and being able to play it over Xbox Live, and is a feature that hopefully the console players are really going to enjoy. The single player Doom 3 is very atmospheric. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of action, but it's very methodical, which is really the primary reason why there's no cooperative campaign on the PC. Is we're just like, well, it's not going to translate well. So we kind of had to rethink it as we looked at it for the Xbox. We're like, well, hey, what if we just do like a director's cut, except for instead of like more, we actually condense the action down into less, and then you can go in and areas where there might be bottlenecks or things that sort of don't fit together well if it's just like you and another guy playing through the same area. You can change that stuff up, and so that's what we went in with doing. It's just making sure that every single second it's just action start to finish. Consoles tend, when you think of like Mario or something like that, for example, you think of platforms and sort of the arcade experience. And it is interesting that with Doom 3 Cooperative campaign, as we sort of went back to sort of the roots of the original Doom, and it really is just sort of more arcade action as opposed to the single player experience for Doom 3, which is sort of much more about atmosphere and tension and really sort of getting the drop on you to just try to scare the pants off of you. We've got some things, a couple of projects that we're kind of looking at. With Resurrection of Evil just coming out, the add-on for the PC. We have been thinking about what it would take to get that over on the Xbox as well. So, that's one thing that we have in our mind. Sort of as we look forward to what we're working on next, our project is still very early on in development, so we're kind of really looking more down the line at the next generation of the consoles in terms of what's going to come out on what the Xbox 2 is going to be like, how that will fit within our development plans, what PlayStation 3 is going to be like, for example. But Doom 3 for the Xbox is coming out closer to the PC release than any title that it has ever done. So, and I think that underscores sort of our, I think certainly up until now, it has definitely been a PC-centric developer, and PC has been our focus. And as we start on our next project, is that the PC is a primary platform in terms of how we're developing it starting off. But we're taking a very early look at both PlayStation 3 and Xbox 2 in terms of what it would take to bring the game there, and even shorten that lag to as little as possible. That we can still do it and have an experience like we're able to bring on Doom 3 for the Xbox, which is that it's got all the punch and power of everything that's there in the game.
Hey, over here. We were hit. I don't know how much farther I can go. Here, take the transmission card. We can't stay here. Isn't safe. We better move.